Greetings once again for the next vlog in Blizzcon 2016 and the last. As obviously I've said in a previous video, the podcast is kind of my wrap-up. So at that point, you will have a full playlist right after this. Man, it's been a long couple of days, but we've been able to get through all of the announcements and all of the awesome that have happened at BlizzCon 2016. But we've got one game left to do, and that is Heroes of the Storm. With that first, I'm going to take care of a little business right here and now. People have noticed on the channel that Heroes of the Storm coverage kind of abruptly ended. And it's been gone for almost a month now. And people have been asking me for a while why it ended and is it coming back. So I'm going to address that really quick before we get into the announcements. The reason it left was because crap got busy. So at that point, I had other things that were in my weekly schedule that I couldn't bring Heroes back in. Now, thankfully, a lot of that stuff is ending because we're getting really close to the end of my vlogs of Luke Cage, as well as the bonus footage for Rise of the Tomb Raider, things like that. So Heroes is not done permanently. It is coming back. It will be back soon. And it is going to be it's still going to be a regular staple of the channel because I do like playing Heroes of the Storm, especially live with you, or not live, but in these videos with you guys. Because not only do I learn cool things from other Heroes players, which is awesome. I've been able to talk to a couple of other Heroes players that are just saying, well, you could do this a little bit better with Kael'thas, and then you wouldn't have this issue. That's amazing. And also, I've been getting a lot of constructive feedback. I thought I was going to get a lot of trollish stuff like, you suck at MOBAs. And instead, a lot of it is just, I see what you're doing here, but let me see if I can help you fix it. So I've learned everything I could, and thank you guys so much for it. But yes, Heroes of the Storm is returning. I think the next time that it's going to happen, we're actually going to showcase both of the Overwatch heroes, and that's going to be a thing. That might be around holiday time. I don't know. But we'll make it work. I can promise you that. Anyway, excuse me. It's been a long day. Business swept under the rug. Let's go ahead and get into the announcements for Heroes. First of all, I want to get into this because people actually got mad at me because I didn't mention it for Gamescom. And that is the Heroes Brawl. The reason I didn't mention it, at least to my knowledge, I don't remember. I thought I mentioned it, but I might not have. The Heroes Brawl, when it got mentioned, a lot wasn't known. We knew that there was going to be an open arena, and that was about it. But we didn't really know. We knew that there were going to be new challenges for it, but not, like, aside from the arena, not really anything had been brought there. Now, with BlizzCon happened, we've actually seen one of the first maps that's going to be in the Heroes Brawl, and it is Blackheart's Revenge. So if people remember Blackheart's Bay in the original maps, where you had to pay to get the ship to strike on enemy bases. In this case, it's an attack-defense map. There's an attacking team and there's a defending team. The attacking team is working with Blackheart to destroy the enemy core, and the defending team has the core. So at that point, this is a map that only has one core, and Blackheart's allegiance is already decided. I think that's amazing. I think that's a great thing to do, just to be able to change things up. That's one of the reasons I like Heroes of the Storm, is these objectives on the maps are what make it fun, as far as I'm concerned. Because if I was to just sit there and play League of Legends and just play, 5v5, that would get boring for me. But being able to play the objective is another thing that brings new life to it for me. So I'm really excited for Blackheart's Revenge. Originally, I didn't care about the Heroes Brawl. I think I'll do the arena at some point, but originally I didn't care. But now I do. Now they've given me a reason to. Now, that wasn't the only announcement, but I want to make sure I covered that first. The biggest announcement was 2 brand spanking new heroes, both Warcraft themed. So let's go ahead and get into them. The first was Varian Ring, former High King of the Alliance, Varian Wren. And he is the first ever multi-class hero. So basically he is a hybrid between a warrior and an assassin. What do you mean by that? Basically, the way he works is that he is the living embodiment of a WoW warrior. He can literally go any of the 3 specs. He can go Fury with 2 weapons, he can have arms and have 1 big 2-hander, or he can have a sword and a shield and be a full-on protection tank. How you shape that is actually based on his talents. So I believe they said at level 4 and level 10, you're going to have key choices. And those choices will forever shape the gameplay that Varian has in that match. Not permanently, just in that match. And so at that point, you can either become like a fast-paced, fast-attacking berserker and be an assassin. You can even be a big, bulky two-hander, deal out a lot of raw damage as an assassin. Or you can be a burly warrior and be able to take a ton of damage as well as deal out a ton of damage in the process. So, and the way that they actually show this is you actually see Varian's weapon Charlemagne either fully assembled in its two-handed form, split into the two swords, or you can actually see him pick up a shield that is actually brought in, I believe, from the 10-year anniversary of World of Warcraft. It's actually, it's one of the, it's got an Alliance soldier standing in front of a wolf riding orc. And they actually took that shield and gave it to Varian, and it's really cool looking. The other thing, too, that I want to mention is the master skin that you'll be able to get for Varian, which is just, taking everything up to 11, but also inspired by the movie. If people remember, if you saw the movie, King Lane Rin, actually, when he donned his armor, he had a lion-shaped helmet. They decided to give Varian a similar helmet in this form, but one that reflects the rest of his armor. So I thought that was a nice touch to be able to show homage to the movie as well as show homage to the legacy of the character. And we also got a launch skin announcement for Logosh. So if you don't want to have the High King of the Alliance attire, you can have Logosh and be a gladiator. So that's an awesome thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it, because he's multi-class into assassin and warrior, and apparently he's not the only one. They're actually talking about doing a couple of other retools. Specifically, it sounded to me like they were going to do a multi-class refit to Kazarim, and basically, instead of making him a straight support character, making him a hybrid into support or assassin. I might be wrong about that, but that's how they were talking about it. So, and I actually got really encouraged by that concept. The second major character announcement was the Fire Lord himself, Ragnaros. And the trailer they actually showed was like Varian against Ragnaros. It looked really, really, really good. So here's how Ragnaros basically works. He has technically two modes. He has a hero mode where he can actually go out and fight things out with the heroes. But he also has an ability, I believe they said at level 1, called Molten Core, which allows him to take over a ally, or I believe it's only allies, ally fort. No, actually they did say it could be enemy. So he can take over a fort or a keep and become Raid Boss Ragnaros, which gives him a whole new slew of abilities and makes him huge and makes him basically god levels of overpowered. He gets a lot of his more raid bossy abilities, unlike his hero mode form, which basically has, for lack of a better term, dumbed down versions of those abilities. So he has like a living meteor, he can empower his Sulfuris, but then when he's in big form, he can send an entire lava wave down a lane and destroy everything in it. Or he can throw up his weapon and have it come down and do massive damage. And I think at one point they actually even kind of hinted that with that, you actually could get a talent where like Sons of Flame would go to it and do even more damage. So it's like, oh my gosh, that is awesome. Ragnaros himself looks really, really good in both forms. I'm really excited for it. The Master Skin is amazing. I love the fact that Hero mode, or the basic one, is more based on the Molten Core Ragnaros, and his Master Skin is based more on Firelands. Granted, he doesn't get legs, but he still gets a bunch of like Firelands-esque armor. The other thing, too, that I found interesting was he had a launch skin, which was basically Baby Rags. People might remember in WoW there used to be a Baby Rags pet. I think you can still buy it in the pet store. But they basically said, yeah, this is where we want to go with it. And I think they also said that there was going to be a lot more baby-based abilities. And that is absolutely silly to me, and that's the way you go with that. Because, I mean, how do you How do you do a skin for the freaking Fire Lord, aside from make him the Ice Lord or something like that? You make him a baby, and it works. I actually loved it, especially how they announced it as like, first we took it to 10 with Ragnaros, then we cranked it up to 11 with the Master Skin, and then we went to 18 months old. So that was great. So overall, the announcements for Varian and Ragnaros, while awesome, this is where a lot of my, excuse me, again, it's been a long day, people. This is where a lot of my opening ceremony criticisms still take place. I love Varian, and I love Ragnaros. But I still want other heroes from other universes. And I think it would actually have been a better announcement. Yeah, if you wanted to do Varian and Rags, you could have done it. I think Rags needed to be done. Varian, nothing against the High King of the Alliance, but he didn't need to be there. And if you wanted to sub things out for, I don't know, Malthael, let's just throw that out as an example. I think it would have had a bigger impact, especially with the introduction of the Necromancer for Diablo. If you had like another major boss come in from Diablo, or you had another major StarCraft character, or you had a slew of Overwatch characters that were going to make their way in. And don't tell me, Blizzard, that they don't work, because I sat there and theorized with a couple of people, and we actually came up with good theories for Winston, for Reinhardt, and who was the other one? I think even Diva. We made a good justification for her to be in Heroes. So that can happen. And I'm looking forward to when that can happen. They also subtly hinted at another Warcraft hero being Zul'jin. So not Vol'jin, Zul'jin. Because apparently an Amani Warbear showed up. I went back to look at it. I couldn't see it. Doesn't mean it wasn't there. But yeah, Zul'jin, the original end boss of Zulaman, is being worked on in the Heroes team. So we'll probably see that soon. But again, I want nothing against Warcraft. Warcraft is heavily saturated in everything Blizzard does. But there are other universes that could get features here that would help hype up new expansions for Diablo, new mission packs for StarCraft, etc., etc. And so that still kind of holds true. I do like the announcements. I still want more variation in it. Now, people could honestly bounce that back to me and go, you got Alarak, you got Dahaka, you got Ariel this year, you got Tracer and Zarya. But at the same time, I could also bounce back that we got Varian, we got Rags, we got Varian, Ragnaros, Samuro was the last one that came out before them, and before that we had Chromie and Medivh. That's already 5. I mentioned 2 StarCraft characters, 1 Diablo character. Well, actually, no, technically, because Zul came in there, so another 2, and 2 Overwatch characters. There's plenty more that can be done. So at that point, I'm just disappointed. I don't mind other Warcraft heroes, but I want to see more from the other universes. And that's going to go ahead and do it for this video of Heroes of the Storm. Man, it's been a long journey, but BlizzCon has finally come to an end. It's been covered. I am so glad to have been able to enjoy this journey with you guys. And also, obviously, if you guys want to see the wrap-up for it, you guys can check out the bonus episode of Geek News Reviews and Opinions, where me and Brinton Volley, as well as his boyfriend Nathan, went into the details of what we thought about BlizzCon 2016. But of course, I am Drak. Thank you guys so much for watching and joining me on this journey. And I, of course, will see you guys next time for the next video.